Hi Warwick. 1 year ago today, I was sworn in as mayor of this great city. It has been a very eventful year. I feel that my administration has gotten much accomplished in this 1 year, and I'd like to review some of it with you. I started out with hiring the most highly qualified staff and directors that I could find. I have a lot of confidence in these people that have done a wonderful job over the last year, and I rely on them heavily. I said that I would not allow politics to play a role in this city as it had so much in the past. I went out of my way to establish a great relationship with the Warwick City Council. They've been very supportive of me. We have intellectual disagreements, but none of it is politically based. Sometimes they just don't agree with me, but they've largely been very supportive of me and my initiatives. In the past year, I've made at least 60 appointments to boards and commissions. I've done that the same way I hired people. There was no political connections. These people weren't cronies. They weren't people who were owed. I went out and got qualified people in these important jobs. These are the people that shape this city. They're all citizens that want to be involved. That's what I was going for, and it's another area where I didn't allow politics to become part of the process. Some of our bigger accomplishments, when I got here, we had an annex building behind City Hall, which is mostly knocked down now. It had been empty for almost 4 years. There had been an insurance claim. It was destroyed during a sprinkler accident inside. When the insurance company was investigating the damage, they found that the building was not structurally sound. We couldn't continue to have offices in there. The city fought that. It ended up being going to litigation, and it just became a big tangled mess. I was able to negotiate with the insurance company a settlement where we had them remove the building at minimal cost to the city. Now, going into that, we needed to house all our offices under one roof, because that's not the way it is in the city right now. So we were able to come to an agreement with AAA for the Sawtooth Building, a historic former mill here in Apponaug. All city buildings, except for the ones in City Hall, are going to be housed there. It's going to be much more convenient for the public, and it's going to be a much more efficient way to run this government, because having offices everywhere is very inefficient. The City Council was very supportive of it. We signed a lease with AAA. It's cost us a little bit more than we thought because of COVID and the construction costs, but we've gotten that all settled up and we're moving forward. We're looking forward to sometime this summer moving all the offices in there. One of the challenges we were faced with when we got here, which meant a lot to citizens, was McDermott Pool. It had been said that it was closed because of COVID, but that wasn't really true. It was closed because it was in terrible disrepair. The filtration systems had been let go, the pumps weren't working. It was all from a lack of maintenance over the years. I made that a priority of my administration. We ended up spending $160,000 to basically rebuild the pool. But the citizens really wanted it. It's something we had to do for them. It took 6 months, but we got it back open. I know the citizens are grateful. The City Council was very supportive in that. DPW and Recreation Department did a great job. It was just a big win for Warwick, and people are there enjoying it now. Interscholastic Sports can use it again, so it's just a great feeling to get that opened again. One of the things we were faced with when we got here was a layoff of city workers prior to us arriving. Approximately 50 city workers were laid off. Most of them were from DPW, the clerk's office, and areas like that. It directly affected the public. With the staffing we had, we could not provide quality services, and you saw the shape of Warwick diminishing in every capacity. We recalled the city workers. We after coming to an agreement to drop litigation that the union had against the city. Everything went well. We were able to call most of the workers back for July 1st when the budget year started. It's a long process. They're still not all back. You have to advertise. There was a lot of components to it. But having them back, we have improved the services. The city has looked a lot better, and I look forward to more improved services as we go along. Another thing that greatly hampered our city's ability to provide quality services was the shape of our fleet of vehicles. Fire and rescue vehicles, police vehicles, DPW, sanitation, you name it, across the boards. A long time ago, a decision had been made to try to get more miles out of our vehicles, to buy used ones, to not replace them as often, and that resulted in fixing a lot of cars that weren't worth it. I mean, the overtime costs alone were staggering. We were putting parts, we were buying engines for trucks that just had no right to be on the road. It's left us in a lurch. What I did to combat this was the $6.5 million lease purchase program. We can't replace every vehicle all at once. It's not financially possible, especially given the shape we're in. But what we have done is we've replaced some of the core vehicles, vehicles we have to rely on, particularly fire trucks and rescues, but sanitation vehicles and such. And we took a core amount we replaced this year, and we will over the next years, and this is always going to be in there. We're going to start rotating new ones in and old ones out now. It's the way it should have always been done. When we took office, the city was not in good shape financially. We weren't in a good place. Some of that was due to COVID. Some of that was due to taxes, delinquent taxes not being collected for over 2 years, sewer and water bills that hadn't go out, things of that nature. So we got that all under control, with the goal being, because it was a year that people were affected by COVID and their finances were hurting, we had a goal of a no tax increase budget, which we were able to pull off. We had to cut spending in certain areas, but we were able to put some good things in there, like the lease purchase and like the Sawtooth building. It was a great budget. We had some help from ARPA funds. We used it minimally. We just replaced revenues that should have been coming to the city anyways, and those were hotel and restaurant taxes, car taxes we should have gotten from rental cars, but those rental cars weren't here anymore because there was virtually no traveling going on. So we had a lot of areas where we didn't receive the revenues, and we only replaced those revenues. I was very conservative with the ARPA money. So we were successful in passing that no tax increase budget. As you know, the City of Warwick received $32 million approximately in ARPA funds this past year. We used $10 million of those funds into water and sewer infrastructure, and more of that money is going to have to go for our infrastructure. Warwick is an old city, and the infrastructure hadn't been maintained. We have a great many needs. We are going to do some other things with the ARPA funds. We're not moving forward quickly. We're not just rushing into things. We need some of this money for revenue loss should COVID reemerge like it has been. I've promised an amount of this money to the city council. They'll be able to go into the grassroots, the playgrounds, the small things that are needed in their wards that always get overlooked. So that's going to be a great way. They're going to hold meetings. They're going to get public input on it, as I will. As I said, we're not rushing into anything. We're taking a wait and see attitude with it, but a lot of it will be used for infrastructure because that's important to the future of Warwick. The city had tremendous overtime costs, especially in the fire department. And a lot of that was because we hadn't hired new firefighters in over 3 years. We were down over 20 men. I think it was 25 men and women. I authorized the recruitment process. We recruited the best candidates we could find. We've sent them to the academy, and they're getting ready to take their place in the fire station now. This will not only diminish overtime costs greatly, it will make for a better department. We can't afford to have firefighters that are constantly being forced to work overtime. They're away from their families. They're tired. It's just not a good way to run the department. So I look forward to having these new recruits on there. In the past, Warwick had a well-deserved reputation for being not very friendly for new businesses looking to open here, or any kind of developments. We've solved that by creating an economic development department. This department's duty is to shepherd and be a concierge system for developers. They bring them through the entire process. Developers big and just opening up mom and pop stores. We're trying to be a lot more business friendly, and it's working so far. We have a lot of prospective projects in and around Warwick in the near future. A lot of it is apartment buildings. We've had retail developments, we've had a warehouse. So we're moving forward. These are going through the stages. It's a long process. Sometimes it takes over a year, up to 2 years. But things are starting to finally move forward in Warwick as we getting a better reputation for being business friendly now. One of my goals was to improve the recreational facilities here in the city because they're not what they should be. They're not nearly what they should be. We've taken the first step with that. I put together a recreation committee, and they're focusing primarily first on the Mickey Stevens Sports Complex and what we can do with that. We have a $7 million bond from 2005. It was never released, and no work has been done there. So they're putting together a plan. It's going to go through the process. I'm hoping that we can have a walking track there, playground, maybe a skate park, some baseball fields. But it's up to them now. They're working on it now. And when Mickey Stevens is done, when we've decided how we're going to go forward with that, we're going to start looking at all the other recreational facilities because it's time for this to happen and work. We deserve much better than what we have. I've made a great effort to have a better relationship with the school department than the city has had in the past. I meet very frequently with the superintendent, at least every other week, and we're on the phone quite a bit too. She's only taken over 6 months ago. She has a lot of work to do, but I see some progress. They have a lot of challenges. COVID isn't helping the shape of the buildings, but I see some positive things happening there. We're going to have to be patient and lend our support to them. A big part of the challenge this year has been COVID. The first months of my tenure, it dominated. We were on Zoom meetings with the Department of Health, the governor's office, almost daily. We had to get through the vaccination clinics, and things got better for a really long time, and now it's starting to get challenging again. It's really unprecedented. You just have to navigate as you're going along, and you do the best you can. We've worked really hard, and the workers have been fantastic to try to, not diminish city services, and I think we've kept up our end of that. So we're just going to take it as it comes and do the best we can with it. I'm looking forward to the next year. One of the things I wanted to do is try to raise morale amongst the citizens and the employees, and I really am convinced that we have done that. We've had a lot of get-togethers. The residents of Warwick are turning out. The fireworks on New Year's Eve was another example of that. People love this community. People are good to each other. We look out for each other. We have a lot of good projects coming up. I'm going to have a big announcement next week on something that I think the residents are going to love. It's going to greatly enhance living in this city, and I really look forward to that. And I look forward to being your mayor for the next year. Thank you, Warwick.